You have to understand that if you're trying to pour water into 4 different buckets with the same hose, they're going to fill up a little bit more slowly than if you were just pouring them all in one.
Understand that you are playing the long game and you're not just trying to win in one area. And that's going to be so much harder, but so much better in the long run.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. Yesterday's was 848, adopting a never quit mentality, last week's live podcast. Today, for episode number 849, something you must understand about growth. So as you know, or maybe you don't know, maybe you attended and you joined us, but we did our first live meetup since we were doing the meetups back in the day. And one of the things we were talking about was consistency. That was the big theme. And I made a point to tell everybody, you have to understand when it comes to growth, if you're focused on holistic growth, so if you're trying to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth, like Alan and I are so focused on, so obsessed with, it's going to seem like it takes longer. So you might be out there right now and maybe you've been grinding, you grinded for all of 2021, and you're looking at it now and you're saying, well, I have 5 more clients and I feel more comfortable at the gym and my relationship with myself or my significant other is better and overall life seems like it's better, but it doesn't seem like a lot changed. You have to understand that if you're trying to pour water into 4 different buckets with the same hose, they're going to fill up a little bit more slowly than if you were just pouring them all in one. Alan and I know a bunch of people who are very in shape, but maybe broke and miserable when it comes to relationships with the people around them and themselves, or maybe they have an incredible relationship, but they're not in the shape they want to be, or they don't have the money they want. We want a holistic approach, and understanding that that takes longer because you're trying to build 4 buildings instead of 1 is an important distinction. You're trying to build an entire neighborhood, and that requires different foundations, and it requires sewers, and it requires roads, and electricity, and telephone poles. If you're just building one building, you start with a foundation, you build up. If you're doing it holistically, it's going to take a little bit longer. It might seem like there's not that much progress, but if you reflect the right way, you'll realize how far you've actually come.
Kev, what's the most important thing for the listeners or viewers to understand that you now understand, but early on you didn't when it comes to holistic self-improvement?
1, I think everything feeds one another. So when you're feeling more comfortable in your body and you're really pouring into your health, everything else proliferates and you're feeling more confident. So maybe your relationship goes better with a significant other, with your family, with yourself. When you start to make money, you can pour that back into your health. I just believe everything connects. And if you really want to level up to your maximum potential, you have to max all of these out. I think for a while, I thought I could get away with just one of them. And I did. I got away with health for a long time, right? I was in amazing shape. That was awesome. Then I got away with wealth because I was making money and I was in really good shape. That was awesome. Then the love burned to the ground. Then the life burned to the ground. So the understanding that I would say is it's better to make slow progress in all 4 than a ton of progress in 1, because when you become unbalanced like that, you're probably going to topple over and you're going to have to start over anyway.
For sure. And most importantly, it's going to be unfulfilling. I was reading my book earlier today, and it's based on the pyramid of fulfillment, and it talks about how there's 5 levels, and you have to build from level 1, then level 2, then level 3, then level 4, then eventually level 5, and it's incremental and slow over time. The story that I wanted to tell for this, again, this is something you must understand about growth. Bianca audioed myself and Emilia recently, it was like a 4.5 minute audio, and she was just going through this understanding. She's like, I never realized it, but I think it was between the Florida event that Kevin, myself, Emilia, and Bianca all went to, and just some of the realizations that she's had at her new job have helped her understand how rare it is to actually want to maximize your potential in every area. So B had come over and I was given many years ago all of these DVDs of what was called, I think, Power Talks by Tony Robbins. And I had like stacks and stacks and stacks of DVDs where Tony Robbins was interviewing all these people. Brendan Burchard, Marie Forleo, dozens of people. And she asked for them. She asked to borrow them, and I said, yeah, of course. And so she was going through them, and she realized in those interviews that everybody was extraordinary in one area, but almost nobody was extraordinary in many different areas. And in particular, the one that jumped off the page for her in that Power Talks is fitness. And so when Kevin, myself, Emilia, and Bianca went to that event in Florida, that was one thing that was noticeable as well. There was a lot of wealthy people in the room, but they weren't necessarily that focused on fitness. And so this podcast, Next Level University, it's health, wealth, and love. Health is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Wealth is how you make your money. In other words, do you enjoy what you do? How much do you make? Is that increasing or decreasing over time? And then where do you invest that money? And then third, relationships. Intimate relationship, family, friends, business partners, clients, colleagues, mentors, mentees, you name it, all things relationships. And to Kevin's point, you have to understand that if you're focusing on building all of these different facets of your life, this pyramid of fulfillment from the ground up, you really can't expect quick results. You really, really, really can't. You have to play the long game. And we talk about that often, but from this frame, holistic self-improvement is far harder. And that was the lesson for me. Holistic self-improvement is so much more difficult than just getting wealthy or just getting healthy or just focusing on your relationship. It's much more difficult to be a magnificent parent and a magnificent business owner and a magnificent homeowner and a magnificent fitness person. It's much more difficult. It gets way more difficult, but it's infinitely more fulfilling as well. Kevin and I, prior to starting our own podcast and then coming together, starting the Hyperconscious podcast and eventually having that be NLU, we both were at six-figure plus jobs, and we weren't happy even though we had more than enough money. And the reason we weren't happy, or I should say fulfilled, is because we were really successful in that one area. And then I started to come up on fitness, fortunately, and I think we had intimate relationships as well. But my point is that we weren't as focused on character. We weren't as focused on holistic health, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. We were more focused just on like physical fitness, right? And Kevin's told those stories about being so focused on physical fitness that it was at the expense of his emotional and mental well-being. So that's the point here is of this episode. Understand that you are playing the long game and you're not just trying to win in one area. And that's going to be so much harder, but so much better in the long run. But if you go into this, you listen to this show and you're a new listener and you're like, oh my God, holistic self-improvement. Hell yeah, awesome. I appreciate the zeal and I appreciate being excited, but you have to understand that if you're expecting quick results, you're going to lose and you're going to get disheartened because holistic self-improvement, it takes a lot longer to build a neighborhood than just one home. And that's to Kevin's point.
And so much of the holistic aspect of it requires you to look in the mirror in a way that you wouldn't have to if you were just focused on making more money. If your main focus was, I want to make as much money as humanly possible, that is a different level of mirrors. That's a different level of feedback. That's a different level of mastery. One of the things that I wanted to touch on in this episode, we talked about this in the preamble. When you're focused on being well-rounded, you're also very focused on your character. I was on a podcast a few months ago and they said, what took you so long to make money in business? And I said, that's a great question. Number one, I don't think Alan and I had a product that we were ready to launch yet because we hadn't honed our coaching yet. But I said the second part of that is we focused for the first year and a half, 2 years on building our characters. We looked in a lot of difficult mirrors. We had a lot of difficult conversations. We reflected on a lot of things that we may have either wanted to change or not been proud of. And that was the foundation for us. So when business does grow and we do get the opportunity to have our dream relationships, we can sustain them. Alan and I were talking today. As you know, we record Marathon Mondays, and we do all our episodes in Monday unless we're jeffing, which sometimes we are. But in the preamble, we were talking about where we've come from 2017 to the beginning of 2022. And in this moment, it might not seem like we're quote unquote successful because we're losing on the day to day. There's a lot of things going on that we're putting fires out, and we're growing, and we're overwhelmed, and we're stressed. And there's always something going on because that's required for growth. But if you look back in 2017, we had 1,052 listens. We made $0. We didn't have a team. 2018, I think we had 35,000 downloads.
Hello, my name is Eddie Pinero. I'm the founder of Your World Within, and I wanted to take a second and just express how valuable working with Alan has been, both personally and professionally. I think his ability to help me create clarity and maintain focus on my big picture goals has been huge. But also, and this is just as important, he's been a huge asset with the roadmap as well. The day-to-day things, the little things that we sometimes overlook. And those two things in tandem have been a huge lift and just a tremendous return on investment. And I think anyone looking to, grow themselves, grow a business or both, would truly benefit from having Alan as an ally along the way. Again, great mind, but more importantly, solid dude.
And I think we made, $8,000 or something?
I think it was like 8,000 each, so 16.
16, okay. And then the next year, I don't know how many listens we had in 2020. But again, this is the thing. We went from 0 listens in 2017 to, as of today, I think we have 492,000. I tracked the number today. We went from $0 in the business to now, on paper, 300,000 over the next year. Right? That's gonna continue to level up, but that's what we're estimating, right? That might not seem in the moment like we have that much growth, but if you take a step back and reflect, I'm engaged. Tara and I are going to Colorado this year to elope, and then we're having our honeymoon out there. That's crazy to me.
I got your save the date in the mail.
Did you?
By the way,
awesome.
Yeah.
In the moment, it doesn't always seem like you're making a ton of progress, but this is my action. This is what I want you to do after this episode. And you can work this into your week, your day, your month, your year, your quarter, whatever works. Your PPT, if you're tracking your habits. Reflect on experience. Reflect on results. Reflect on where you were this time a year ago, this time 6 months ago, this time a month ago. And as you level up in all of these, your reflections will look different even quicker. So when I think of a month ago, there's so many different things. We have 4 more clients in NLPS. You have, I don't know how many more clients. We're doing our entire calendar because of Crystal and Amy is honed for 2022. And we're talking about the event and the retreat. So much changes, but it's almost like it doesn't seem like it changes and then it all changes at once. And then it's a rinse and repeat forever. So do not feel discouraged if you don't feel like you're making progress. If you are trying to level up health, wealth, life, and love, it will take longer. It will be more fulfilling. You will have to look in more mirrors. It might be lonelier, but if you stay on that course, you focus on your character, you focus on the small 1% improvements, that's how things really start to change. And the more and maybe most impactful, important part of this is when you do get the results you've longed for so long, you won't lose them because you'll be able to sustain those results because you don't have any gaps that need to be filled in.
And the one thing I want to get across before we go here is I've met some people who are healthy but not wealthy, and some people that are wealthy but not healthy, and some people that are healthy and wealthy but don't have a magnificent relationship. I can think of these individuals, and I can tell that they're not that fulfilled. And the reason why is because fulfillment, the best way to describe fulfillment is an overflowing cup. But you can't have just one narrow area of overflowing cup. So imagine your future right now, 10, 5, 15 years down the road. Let's do this. Let's do 2, 5, and 10 years down the road. Just come with me on this journey for a second. All right? It's 2 years down the road. Your body is better than it was by a pretty significant margin. Your relationship, you have the relationship of your dreams, and it's getting better each day. You live in a far better, higher quality place, both geographically, but also in terms of the quality of where you live. Maybe it's a new home. Maybe it's a better apartment. Maybe you live in a better area or a higher quality town. All right. Now, on the day-to-day, it probably wouldn't seem like you're making all these incredible, drastic, earth-shattering changes. But over 2, 5, 10 years, progress on the day-to-day can feel invisible. That's why it's so hard to stay disciplined, because it feels so invisible. And that's why transformation photos online are so drastic. Think of the last transformation photo you saw online of yourself in high school. Or, Kevin, you just posted one of you in high school. It's unbelievable how much he's changed and how much he's grown. Not just physically, but like in his character, in his awareness, in his knowledge, in his work ethic, in his discipline, in his everything. On the day-to-day, it probably didn't feel like he was making that much progress. Sometimes it probably felt like he wasn't making any progress.
For sure.
But over the long run, it's so drastic. And you really, really have to understand that. You don't want to end up in the future being healthy but not wealthy, or wealthy but not healthy, or healthy and wealthy but having no great relationships. What you really want is health, wealth, and love. And what we're saying is you got to be in the long run for this. You got to sign up for this knowing it's the more difficult road. And the very last piece of this is, and this is to Bianca's point as well. One of the things Bianca said in her audio to us is, this is going to be a lonelier journey than I thought. And what she meant isn't that she's not going to have tons of listeners and tons of friends and tons of family. What she meant is that not a lot of people are trying to truly maximize the very best they can be in health, wealth, and love. And so the action item for this episode, I hope everyone does this. Find a peak performance partner who, like you, really is truly, genuinely dedicated to leveling up their life, their health, their wealth, and their love. That's why this community is so valuable. Anyone within this community, you can connect with other people within the community who you know are all shooting for that same goal, their own unique flavor of health, wealth, life, and love. And you know that that's their main focal point. That's their main concern. Every single day when I wake up, my main concern is maximizing my potential in all of those areas and helping other people do the same. And it's a really beautiful, rare thing. And we hope that you don't feel alone in that journey.
Next Level Nation, if you have studied success, you realize that some of the and most of the most successful people in the world had mentors. Now, while Alan and I mentor you, we mentor you 7 days a week in your pocket for free. Maybe you want to do something else. And maybe one-on-one coaching just isn't going to work right now, and you missed the boat for group coaching, and you don't want to wait until April. We have a free course in the show notes below, totally free. It's an hour and a half of pure value. It's 5 modules, lessons, stories, all sorts of things to help you get to the next level. Frameworks. Alan and I took what we've learned over the years, and we said, all right, let's create the most valuable free course we can create and give it away. And maybe you're not ready for one-on-one or group coaching. Maybe you can't afford it. This is a great way to get progress and dip your toe into the mentorship realm.
It is all of the fundamentals. One last thing. So as you know, we are doing monthly virtual meetups every single month. February 3rd in the evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're doing one on creating financial abundance. Imagine what your life would be like if you didn't have to concern yourself every month with, am I going to be able to pay my bills? Oh, did I spend too much money? You're going to be able to create a system. And these are a deeper dive, by the way, than the podcast. You're going to leave with actual worksheets. We have a WhatsApp group where we submit resources into it. You're a part of a community. You're going to be, some people are on camera. Some people mute their camera or mute their mic and turn their camera off. So you're not obligated to participate. But on the last one, I think we had 13 or 14 people. And people were talking in the chat. People were sharing. We went around the room and had everybody share their struggles with consistency, because our last one was on consistency. This one is on creating financial abundance. It's going to be the same type of format. The goal is to have you meet other members of the community who are also committed to getting better in this arena. And it's primarily focused, again, on financial abundance so that you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck ever again.
Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 850. It is last week's live Q&A. How do I stay resilient during challenges? Hashtag never quit. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for every single one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.